Yo, what's going on, guys? And today we're going to be talking about a report that the Atlanta Hawks have had discussions with the Phoenix Suns regarding Jusuf Nurkic, and that it was also put out that the Hawks have made Bogdan Bogdanovic available. And Nurkic is obviously basically getting a bunch of DNPs. He's not even playing. He he's expected to be moved, but they're not in a rush because they actually believe they could get better value for him in the offseason because he becomes an expiring then. However, Bogdan Bogdanovic could be arguably one of the better players they could get for Jusuf Nurkic currently, which would give him a player who can play 1 through 3, be a secondary playmaker, a shooter, and he's actually a guy who can kickstart transitions and isn't a bad defender. Now, he has struggled with injuries, specifically with his knee over the years, and then this year he's only played 24 games. He's averaging 10 points on 37% from three rebounds and 2 assists. But with the Hawks, during those years, he's actually been about a 15-point per game scorer, 4 rebounds and 3 assists a night, near 40% from three. Like, actually, like a really useful player when healthy. But as I said, he's a guy that this year been a little bit rough. And he had signed a 4-year, $68 million deal with the Hawks a few years ago. And at this point, he has, after this season, 1 year under his control. And then in 26 to 27, it becomes a team option. So it basically becomes an expiring deal after this season, because any normal team would probably more than likely decline. So I want to hear your guys' thoughts before we continue today's video. Do you guys like the idea of it'd probably be Jusuf Nurkic and a pick for Bogdan Bogdanovic? And I think it's actually a decent deal because for what the Hawks, like, I wouldn't be surprised if the Hawks tried to find a Clint Capella suitor and turn this into a 3-team trade where they send Bogdan to the Suns. Suns send maybe Jusuf Nurkic to the Hawks with a pick going to the third team that is trading Clint Capella or trading for Clint Capella, and that said third team gives up multiple second-round picks and gives a couple to either the Hawks or Suns. Like, both teams walk away, the Suns and Hawks, with second-round picks, as that way the Suns can keep the draft, like having draft assets and not just waste of, not, it would be a waste of first-round pick for Bogdan Bogdanovic. No offense to him. But by the way, I didn't say who was reporting this, but all this report is coming from the Bogdan news is from Marc Stein, and the news regarding Jusuf Nurkic is coming from the Arizona Republic. Dwayne Rankins is saying the Suns are looking to make a move and that they have had ongoing discussions. So you guys saw those at the beginning of the video. They are now linked in the description, or they should be. But yeah, I think if they're trading for Jusuf Nurkic, they definitely have to have a deal for Clint Capella lined up, because I can't imagine that they would just go ahead and trade for Jusuf Nurkic and have Clint and Jusuf Nurkic and Onyeka Okongwu, and they're still waiting for Larry Nance to be healthy. So yeah, I think the whole thing for the Hawks, they probably would rather churn Bogdan and Clint Capella into, obviously draft capital, and then allowing yourself to bring in Jusuf Nurkic gives you time in the summer to trade his contract, which would be is like $4 million cheaper than Clint Capella. So not only does the Atlanta Hawks gain some potentially a draft asset in this scenario, but they also get themselves a player that will be on an expiring deal in the summer, that, let's say, they pair with a first round pick, they could get themselves the ability to just, put themselves in a position to be able to go ahead and use their draft capital this year if they wanted, for example, and trade back or trade Jusuf Nurkić's contract for a player of equal, if not better, value. So I think something along those lines could be something to watch for. And yeah, that's what makes the most sense to me because I wouldn't have to assume they're not creating a logjam. And from what I understand with the current CBA, you want it's easier to actually complete a multi-team trade than it is to complete a just straight up two-team trade because the more teams you have in terms of like salaries to play around with, it'll be easier to trade. So to me, I think something like that would make the most sense. Let me hear your thoughts. So, for example, a hypothetical trade would be the Detroit Pistons, who the Pistons says they don't want to be like a salary dump team, but they're trying to be a playoff team. And I think if they could get a big man like Clint Capella to be a rental, and they have way too many second round picks due to Troy Weaver having this weird fascination of them. So in this situation, we know that they want to trade Tim Hardaway Jr. and Simone Fontecchio is clearly not part of this team's rotation. Plus, Simone Fontecchio would fit Quinn Snyder's MO for what he wants. So if you put Tim Hardaway Jr., Simone Fontecchio, and a second round pick to the Hawks, and then you package 2 second round picks and you take on Clint Capella. So 2 second round picks go to the Suns, 1 goes to the Hawks. Pistons receive the least valuable of the first round picks the Suns have to walk away. So the Pistons walk away with the first round pick, the Suns walk away with 2 second round picks, and the Hawks walk away with 1 second round pick. The Hawks walk away with Jusuf Nurkić, Tim Hardaway Jr., and Simone Fontecchio. And Simone and Jusuf Nurkić become expiring contracts next year. The Suns receive 2 second round picks and Bogdan Bogdanovic for giving up Jusuf Nurkić and a first. The Hawks give up Bogdan Bogdanovic and Clint Capella, and they walk away with a second round pick. Simone Fontecchio and Jusuf Nurkić, who both have 1 year remaining on their deals. Simone makes 7.6. Jusuf is making like 19. And then Tim Hardaway would be an expiring, which also helps his team still remain a bit competitive. And the Pistons get front court help with Clint Capella, and they get a first round pick, and they get to get rid of some of the excessive amount of second round picks that they have. That deal actually works under the salary cap. So I really want to hear your guys' thoughts. Would that be something that you guys would do or not? I think it's interesting. So yeah, I think it doesn't have to be that deal, but those are teams that I feel like would all be interested in making something along those lines work as they all gain cap flexibility as everybody, even if the players do have a second year on their deals, they become expiring. So it works out. So I want to hear your thoughts.